The first half of the 2025 MLB season is officially in the books, so we're not going to hold back any punches. We're going to go through every single team in baseball and talk about their most disappointing player. Also, I'll be pretty disappointed if you guys don't leave a like and subscribe. All right, back to the video. The most disappointing player for the Arizona Diamondbacks has to be Zach Gallen because the dude almost has a 5.5 ERA. He's way better than that. He came into 2025 with a 3.29 ERA his first 815 innings. So when I say he's way better, I mean way better. He's suffering from the dreaded combination of allowing more base hits, home runs, walks, while also striking out his fewest amount of hitters per 9 in his entire career. He recently threw 2 gems, and I thought he was back to normal until he gave up a fat 6 spot to end the first half. He's a big reason why the Diamondbacks are about to be sellers, so he's got to be the most disappointing player from Arizona. Moving on to the Atlanta Braves, I didn't realize just how bad it got from Michael Harris II. He finished the first half with a .210 batting average and a 53 OPS plus. Now, the good thing about Michael Harris is the fact that his defense never slumps. He's yet again been a vacuum out there in center field, but a .234 on base is kind of embarrassing. Just like Zach Gallen, Mike is a big reason why the Braves are probably going to be sellers at the deadline. Ben Brown was pretty good last year in his short cup of coffee season with the Cubs, but as a sophomore, it's been rough. He's still racking up the strikeouts, but the hits per 9 and the home runs per 9 have absolutely skyrocketed. We've seen his ERA jump from a 3.5 in 2024 to an over 6 ERA just a year later. The Cubs offense can support almost anything, but Ben Brown having a 6+ ERA, he was supposed to be the Justin Steele stabilizer. Yeah, that's not been the case. I honestly don't even know what to say about our next player. The most disappointing player for the Reds this season is Jeimer Candelario, and honestly, it's not even really close. They ran him out there for another 80 at-bats, hoping that he could turn around after hitting .225 his first year with the Reds, and ultimately, he got DFA'd. He's still getting paid into 2026, and he rewarded the Cubs with a 113 batting average and a 12, I repeat, a 12 OPS plus in 2025. I know there's not a lot of good things to say about the Rockies really ever, but 2024 Brenton Doyle was a fun story to watch. He won another Gold Glove as he also hit 24 doubles with 23 home runs and 30 stolen bases in the batter's box. Fast forward to the end of the first half of 2025, he's been worth a negative 1.8 wins above replacement. But with all that being said, it's not Brenton Doyle, it's still Chris Bryant. I can't just forget about the fact that he was given a 7-year, $182 million contract to play baseball. He's not playing baseball. It's come out that he has a degenerative back disease. I don't know if that's something that can get fixed or if it's something he'll have to maintain, but he hit 154 in 11 games. Again, it's a small sample size, but when you're getting paid $182 million, small sample sizes, they matter. What in the world happened to Roki Sasaki? This is not the same guy that we were watching in the WBC just a few years ago. In Roki's first 8 games as a Dodger, he had 22 walks and 34 innings and only 22 strikeouts. That's good for a 5.8 walks per 9 and a pretty embarrassing 6.3 strikeouts per 9. The command's been all over the place. He is not throwing triple digits like we saw, again, just a few years ago. He's only 23 years old, so obviously there's plenty of time to fix these issues, but for me, he was definitely disappointing. It almost doesn't feel real to say out loud that Sandy Alcantara has allowed 5+ runs 8 different times this year already. Because of the implosion after implosion after implosion, Sandy owns a 7.2 ERA this season. So even though he's a former Cy Younger who still throws gas at 29 years old, I feel like the wonder kid, the new GM Peter Bendix, is still gonna have a tough time trying to get some prospects in return for him. Again, I hate saying it, but that's why Sandy has to be the Marlins' most disappointing player in the first half of 2025. This might not be very fair, but I'm gonna go with Nestor Cortez as the most disappointing player for the Brewers. He's only thrown 2 games, that's where it might be unfair, but he was supposed to be the guy that kind of held things down while Brandon Woodruff was on the IL. He was also traded for Devin Williams, a superstar closer, so Nestor Cortez not playing is a big deal. But actually, I'm curious what you guys would think of this pick. Would you have gone with Nestor Cortez because of his unavailability or Joey Ortiz simply because he's been terrible this year and he's played the entire year? Mark Vientos looked really good the last week of the first half, but a good last week doesn't excuse a lot of bad first few weeks. And weeks is an understatement. He's been bad for a few months. Mark popped off for 27 home runs and a 136 OPS plus last season and then went crazy in the playoffs. But with more playing time means more film. Other teams have a lot more tape on him now. His biggest bugaboo this year compared to last year is the fastball. He's hitting 230 against the Heaters this year. He hit 330 against them last year. Maybe the last week of the first half is what we needed to see, but hitting 223 with an 84 OPS plus as a middle of the order bat, yeah, that'll never cut it. You know what else won't cut it? Giving up 12 hits in 3 2/3 and 9 earned runs. That's the last start that Aaron Nola had this year. I'm going to read you guys Aaron Nola's stats since 2020. So in 2020, he had a 3.2 ERA, 2021, a 4.6. The next year, an even year, 3.25. 2023, a 4.4. 2024, back to an even year. He's going to be good, 3.5. And would you look at that? 2025, an odd year. He's been terrible again, just like all of the other odd years. He has an over 6 ERA. Usually trends like this are fun. Like the Giants, it was every other year they were supposed to win a World Series. Series. Yeah, Aaron Nola stinking it up every other year, not as fun. No offense to all of my casual fans out there, but if you just looked at Bryan Reynolds' fantasy stats, you might not think that he's been terrible this year. 17 doubles, 10 home runs, 46 RBIs, that's not too bad, but he's hitting 225 with an 82 OPS plus with a sub 290 on base. Now, if you're into sabermetrics and stats, you might just chalk this up to really bad luck, because if we do look at the stats, he's still hitting the ball hard. But bad luck or not, when you factor in the walk and strikeout rates with his terrible defense, he's been ultra disappointing, at least to me, because I love Bryan Reynolds. At this rate, we're not going to get a finest Bryan Reynolds in MLB The Show. Oh no, Dylan Cease is suffering from the same disease as Aaron Nola. He stinks when it's not an even year. Let's go back to 2021. He had a 3.91 ERA, then he dropped it to a 2.2. It ballooned to 4.58 in 2023, back down to 3.4, and now in 2025, it's almost a 5 ERA. He's still been Dylan Cease when it comes to striking guys out. That is never going to leave his game. He's on pace for another 200 plus, but he's throwing way too many mistake pitches on the four seam and the knuckle curve, and because of that, they're getting torched. So yeah, with the almost 5 ERA and a 3-9 win-loss record, he's got to be my most disappointing Padre. The Giants, not gonna lie, I wanted to get petty and go with Rafael Devers because he's been awful with them. I also thought about Justin Verlander because he's 0-7 with an almost 5 ERA, but I'm not gonna get cute. Just like Mark Vientos, a last few good weeks of the first half can't save Willy Adames from being in this video. Again, to Willie's credit, he's hitting 295 his last 2 weeks of the first half, but that doesn't excuse the first few months. Willie was hitting under 200 from opening day to June 10th. On the defensive side of things, outs above average still thinks that he's a pretty decent defender, whereas DRS absolutely hates him. He's got a -9 DRS. So yeah, no matter how you slice it, Willy Adames was pretty underwhelming in the first half, and Giants fans, they were getting pretty impatient. Luckily, he has bounced back. We'll see if that really continues. Just like me, after randomly stumbling into Interstellar with my mom a decade ago and leaving speechless, I'm left speechless after looking at Jordan Walker's Baseball Savant page. Like, what do you mean the former super prospect, the next can't-miss kid, is getting worse? He only played 51 games in 2024. He had 5 home runs and a 71 OPS plus. Well, he's beat the games played. He has 55 this year with 3 home runs and a 59 OPS plus. Literally right before 2023, Jordan Walker was considered the 4th best prospect in all of baseball by MLB. I wonder where he would be ranked now. I don't know when Jordan Walker is going to be good. We might have to wait like we did with Joe Adell. So if you guys are tryhards and you've been keeping track of how many teams we've talked about, you know that all of the National League teams are done. It's time to talk about the AL. For our first player, I'm going to blur his highlights and then show you who it is, but I'm just going to tell you his stats, his last 162 games. This person is hitting 218 with 59 RBIs and only 67 runs scored his last 162 games. Who is it? It's Adley Rutschman. What? Adley is hitting 227 this year with only 20 RBIs and a 97 OPS plus. Just a few years ago, Adley was taking over the world with switch hit home run derbies and hitting 30 doubles with 20 home runs. I mean, the guy was a lock to be a future Hall of Famer. It really looked like that. And then something happened in the second half of 2024 that's carried all the way into 2025. Just like Bryan Reynolds, a lot of people are saying that the luck is just not on his side, that it's going to turn around here soon. He's still taking his pitches and getting on base. I agree with those people. I am a Adley stan. I'm a believer, but I gotta see it. It's been rough for the last year. I'm doing it. I'm going with Rafael Devers as my most disappointing player for the Boston Red Sox, and honestly, it's not even close. It's no secret, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I thought that Rafael Devers went about his situation with Boston in the worst way possible. He made it seem like playing first base was like taking chopsticks and using them to defuse a nuclear weapon while scuba diving. It's first base, buddy. It's not that hard. Oh, and by the way, he refused to play first base after his buddy Tristan Casas, who was manning first base, blew his knee out and had his life trajectory changed forever. What a great teammate. And listen, I'm not someone who believes in karma, but he's now batting 202 with a 92 OPS plus in 25 games as a Giant. He's been worth a -0.1 WAR. He's been stinky. Oh, and by the way, his old team, the Red Sox, ended the first half winning 10 or 11 games in a row, while the new face of the franchise, Roman Anthony, was macking on dimes. I mean, this is a new Boston Red Sox team, and I'm happy that Rafael Devers isn't on the squad. Moving on to the Sandy Alcantara of positional players, what in God's name happened to Luis Robert Jr.? Similar to the most disappointing Brave, Michael Harris, Luis's defense never slumps. He can go get it with anyone. But you knew that this was coming. He's hitting 190 with an embarrassing 67 OPS plus. Like, the fact that he's getting on base 27% of the time, really, I don't care if you're on the White Sox, on the worst teams ever. You got to be better than that. Or maybe he shouldn't be better than that, and we should look at Andrew Vaughn and the Brewers and take note that and playing for the White Sox is just miserable. I just don't really buy that, considering Luis was on a bad 2023 White Sox team when he had 36 doubles, 38 home runs, 20 stolen bases, and a 130 OPS plus with essentially Gold Glove defense. I just don't buy that he's all of a sudden the worst player in the league because he's on a team. Then again, maybe the White Sox are that bad. I don't know. But he's my most disappointing player for Chicago. Coming up next, we got my team, the Cleveland Guardians, and thankfully Bo Naylor has been pretty good in high leverage situations when his team needs him the most, but overall, it's been rough. Maybe I'm being unrealistic and choosing to hold on to an unrealistic second half that Bo had back in 2023. Do you guys remember that? 10 home runs and a 360 on base with a 140 OPS plus to end that season? I'm still looking for that Bo. For some strange reason, he's gotten a little bit lazy with blocking this year. I don't know if it's that one-leg approach, even though it worked for him in 2024. He's not throwing guys out the same pace that he was either. Literally, if Bo Naylor could not take his walks, I think he actually could be the worst player in baseball to begin 2025. That's how bad it's been. So obviously, he's in the video. The Detroit Tigers, I'm not gonna lie, just like the Brewers, this was a toss-up. I don't know if I should have gone with a pitcher like Jack Flaherty or a Nestor Cortez, or if I should go with a younger infielder that was just recently traded for, like a Joey Ortiz, or in this case, Trey Sweeney. Trey's gotten a lot of daily reps, 223 at-bats to hit 215 with a paltry 68 OPS plus. On the other hand, Jack Flaherty does have a terrible 4.65 ERA, but that's a little bit misleading. That's because over a 2-game stretch, he allowed 15 runs. Aside from that, he's actually been pretty rock solid, so I don't know if it's fair to say 2 bad starts blowing up his ERA means that he's been really disappointing for the entire first half. So this is going to be my AL version of the Brewers. You guys have to let me know in the comments who has been the most disappointing Tiger to begin 2025. If there was an award for the best mid-player in all of Major League Baseball, I think that Christian Walker would be in the discussion for that award. That's because Christian does have 12 home runs and 47 RBIs, but he's also hitting 229 with a sub 290 on base. Maybe I'm being a little bit too nice. He has an 83 OPS plus, and the defense, which he's known for, has slipped. I gotta be objective. He just got a back from the Astros. He's kind of pulling a Jose Abreu 2.0, just not as bad. If you're a Kansas City Royals fan, you already know this, but up until the last week of the first half, Kansas City had the worst offense in all of baseball. Thankfully, Bob Witt Jr. and Salvador Perez really turned around, same with Jack Caglione, but one name has been missing from the Royals lineup for as long as I can remember. MJ Melendez. He's going to be my most disappointing player because not too long ago in 2021, he went crazy for 41 home runs in 124 games between AA and AAA. He popped off for 18 as a rookie, had almost 20 in back-to-back seasons after that, and then this year, he was so bad, he got sent down. Maybe I should have gone with a guy like Michael Lorenzen, but I'm going to make an executive order. I'm going with a player I'm most personally disappointed in as opposed to who the correct pick is. I really thought MJ was going to be a cog in this lineup for the next half decade with Bobby and Salvi and Jack. It just has not been the case. It makes me so sad that Luis Rengifo is choosing 2025 to have his worst season as a big leaguer, and that's for 2 reasons. 1, he's a free agent in 2026. He's literally costing himself millions. And number 2, he's having his worst season at the same time that Andy Pages, who he was once traded for, is breaking out as a star for the Dodgers. Remember, the Angels declined this trade because they thought Rengifo was too good to give up. Go figure. After hitting 300 in 2024, Luis is down to a 236 batting average with a 276 on base and a full -1 WAR. He doesn't get on base. He stinks at defense. I mean, this is reminding me of Alex Verdugo, who had his worst season in baseball right before becoming a free agent. It's sad. This next guy cannot catch a break, both physically and metaphorically and spiritually. Whatever word ends in Lee, I mean, Royce Lewis is going through it. When healthy, Royce Lewis is one of the best hitters in Major League Baseball. His first 110 games in Major League Baseball were historically good. He hit 295 with 34 home runs and 91 RBIs in those 110 games. But ever since then, not only has he just not been able to stay healthy, but the offense has declined rapidly. He's one of the good guys in baseball. He is just someone like Grady Sizemore. When he's right and he's healthy, the game is so much better when he's out there. But pain is pain, and it's showing that you can't just play through it year after year. He's batting 216 with a 61 OPS plus after the first half. Let's say there was some weird world out there where I became best friends with Anthony Volpe and I was able to convince him to take a lie detector test, and I asked Volpe, hey, do you think that this is the worst slump of your entire life? I'd be shocked if he said no. To end his first half, Anthony Volpe is hitting 125 with a 190 on-base percentage over his final 27 games. Any other young player in Major League Baseball most likely gets sent down because of those stats, but it's not just an issue in the box either. Anthony has a -3 outs above average this year. Even the defense has been pretty bad. If you tune into any Aaron Boone or Brian Cashman interview, they're gonna just rave about this guy, that he's 24 years old, and that if this is all they get out of him, it's still not the best, but also he's a shortstop. You want good defense and him getting on base, but he's not doing that this year. I personally think that they're doing this kid a great disservice by making him unsend-downable. He should have been sent down a couple different times already in his career. Just like Rafael Devers, this next guy is someone that did not make me too happy with some of his comments and attitude in 2025. Luis Severino, he's been a straight-up crybaby this year while also being terrible when he plays at home. This dude stole money from the A's. Like, he knew that he was overpaid. That's why he went to the A's and took John Fisher's money, but he knew what the situation was, that they weren't going to have a clubhouse in the dugout and that he was going to have to live with it if he wanted to play in Sacramento. Now he's saying, I'm really bad at home in Sacramento because it's hot down there and we don't have clubhouses in the dugout. You knew that before you took their money. He has a 5.16 ERA with 81 strikeouts and 113 innings. That honestly should classify as fraud. Oh my, okay, I didn't realize it was that bad. I did not realize that Bryce Miller had a 5.73 ERA. Wait, we're talking about the same Bryce Miller that just turned in a 2.94 ERA with 171 strikeouts literally last year? No, man, no. I try my best to keep up with the game of baseball as best as I can, but obviously there's so many players. I didn't know Bryce was this bad. If you're a Mariners fan, please in the comments shed some wisdom. Does he have an injury? Does he just have to tweak something with his spin rate? What in the world is happening with Bryce Miller? An almost 6 ERA? I was gonna go with J-Rod Julio Rodriguez because he just stinks in the first half, but then I saw Bryce Miller. That hurt my feelings a lot. I love Bryce Miller. I can pretty much say the exact same things about this next kid, Taj Bradley. Taj has the stuff to be a frontline ace, and it's just disappeared this year. How do you go from 283 strikeouts your first 242 innings, that's a 10.5 strikeouts per 9, to a 7.7 strikeouts per 9? Like, something's gotta be wrong. At this point, it seems like his biggest issue is that MLB hitters have figured out the splitter and just to lay off of it. Last year, he put people away with that pitch 26% of the time. This year, only 19%. He throws gas. He's got a really nasty splitter when he's right. I guess I have to be disappointed in him because he almost has a 5 ERA. As much as I love him, he has been disappointing. I hate saying this, but in back-to-back seasons, Josh Young has started off a season hot and then fallen off. Now, in 2024, you could blame a health issue similar to a Royce Lewis. He just couldn't stay healthy, but this year, he's been healthy. Obviously, there's been a few knickknacks. There's always going to be that with Josh Young, but his play on the field has been abysmal. He's not hitting the ball hard. He's chasing at pitches way outside the zone. He's not taking his walks. Like, that's just not a good combination to be a productive big leaguer. I'm looking at his 2023 stats, 25 doubles, 23 home runs, and an almost 115 OPS plus. Like, that's Josh Young. Him being so inconsistent is a big reason why the Rangers, just like the Royals, had one of the worst offenses in baseball despite having some pretty big names in that lineup. I'm so happy. Like, I can't even put into words how happy I am that I don't have to watch this guy hit baseballs anymore for my favorite baseball team. Andres Gimenez, he's a Blue Jay now, and he's not my problem anymore. He's gotten worse. A 73 OPS plus with a 218 batting average. Now, to Andres' credit, he is walking a little bit more this year. Only 2% more. But when you don't have great bat speeds and you don't have great exit velocities and you don't barrel the ball up and you chase at pitches outside the zone and you walk 6.7% of the time, like, I don't know how you think you're going to keep your job as a big leaguer. Well, he has that, that one trait. He's a defensive wizard. So, of course, Andres is always going to be on the field because he's going to save you runs defensively, but offensively, he's annoying to watch. He's making way too much money to be this bad at hitting baseballs. He's got to fix it. According to my math, that is 30 out of 30 teams. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe. We have a lot more baseball videos coming very soon. And also, let me know in the comments, did I get any teams wrong? I'm curious to see what you guys have to say.